U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has met with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas to seek governance reforms. Today is Friday, January 12th, 2024, and this is the Dunkley Report. In a case that strikes at the heart of Israel's national identity, South Africa has formally accused the country of committing genocide against Palestinians. South African attorneys pleaded Thursday with the United Nations top court to order a halt to Israeli military operations in Gaza. The allegations were aired at the International Court of Justice in The Hague. Israel was founded in the aftermath of the Holocaust and has vehemently denied the accusations. In a sign of how seriously they regard the case, Israeli leaders have taken the rare step of engaging with the court to defend their international reputation. Israel often boycotts international tribunals or UN investigations, saying they are unfair and biased. South Africa's long-held support for the Palestinian people can be traced back to the time of Nelson Mandela and Yasser Arafat. The two leaders believed that the struggle for freedom by blacks in apartheid South Africa and Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank were the same. That solidarity has survived for more than 30 years. It may explain why South Africa took the unusual step of opening a case with the United Nations top court, accusing Israel of genocide against Palestinians in the war in Gaza. South Africa is not a diplomatic heavyweight, but its ruling African National Congress Party, which Mandela once led, remains a strong Palestinian ally and a fierce critic of Israel. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has wrapped up his latest urgent Mideast tour in talks with Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. American officials claim modest success in getting regional leaders on board with general planning for construction and governance in Gaza after Israel's war with Hamas ends. Blinken secured support from previously reluctant Arab and Muslim nations to begin such planning in discussions with the leaders of Turkey, Jordan, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Bahrain, over the week-long mission ending Thursday. Those countries and Greece have pledged to participate in the planning, although precise contributions have yet to be determined. In the greatest rebuke yet to Pope Francis, the Catholic bishops of Africa and Madagascar have issued a unified statement refusing to follow his declaration, allowing priests to offer blessings to same-sex couples. They assert that such unions are contrary to the will of God. The statement is signed by Congolese Cardinal Fridolin Ambongo on behalf of the Symposium of African National Bishops' Conferences. It marks the closest thing to a continent-wide dissent from the declaration Francis approved December 18th, allowing priests to offer such blessings. Relatives of civilians killed at a kibbutz in southern Israel during the October 7th attack by Hamas are demanding the military immediately investigate signs that some may have been killed by Israeli security forces as they battled militants holding hostages. The military has said it will conduct a thorough investigation of all events that day, once the war is over. But that's not soon enough for some family members of 13 people killed during a violent standoff between Hamas militants and Israeli security forces at Kibbutz Be'eri, along the Gaza border. They fear valuable evidence could be lost as the war, now in its 4th month, drags on with no end in sight. The new government of French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal has been announced with only one major change at the Foreign Ministry, while most high-profile cabinet members remained unchanged. The French presidency's statement said Thursday that the Interior, Finance, Defense, and Justice ministers remain in place. The members of the government were agreed upon by the 34-year-old Attal and President Emmanuel Macron. Attal is France's youngest ever premier. The 38-year-old Stéphane Séjourné has been named as France's Foreign Affairs Minister to succeed Catherine Colonna. After 11 weeks of war in Gaza, the Israeli military campaign against Hamas now sits among the deadliest and most destructive in recent history. The Palestinian death toll has surpassed 20,000, and satellite data shows that 1/3 of structures across the tiny enclave have been destroyed. A data analyst says that Gaza is now a different color from space as a result of the bombardment and shelling. The Israeli military has said little about what kinds of bombs and artillery it is using, but from blast fragments found on site and their analyses of strike footage, experts are confident that the vast majority of the bombs dropped on Gaza are U.S.-made. José Adolfo Macias Villamar, leader of one of Ecuador's most dangerous gangs, was discovered missing from his cell in a prison where he was serving a sentence for drug trafficking. Since his disappearance Sunday, the government says at least 30 attacks have taken place around the country, including one at a TV station in Guayaquil, in which armed gang members invaded a television station during a live broadcast. Born 44 years ago in a coastal city in the province of Manabí, Macias, also known by the alias Fito, is on the country's most wanted list. He heads the Los Choneros gang. Thousands of people have taken to the streets of major cities in Slovakia to renew their protests against plans by the new government of populist Prime Minister Robert Fico to amend the country's penal code. The changes proposed by the three-party coalition government include abolishing the Special Prosecutor's Office that handles serious crimes, such as graft, organized crime, and extremism. Those cases would be taken over by prosecutors in regional offices that haven't dealt with such crimes for 20 years. Local media cited police as saying that about 20,000 protesters condemned the plan at a central square in Bratislava on Thursday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has ruled out a ceasefire as his country defends itself against Russia's invasion. He said Thursday that the Kremlin's forces would use the pause to rearm and regroup. Limited ceasefires have occasionally been proposed since Russia launched its full-scale war in February 2022, but have never taken hold. Both sides are scrambling to replenish their weapons, with the prospect of a protracted conflict looming. Zelenskyy was in Estonia and Latvia on Thursday as part of a 2-day swing through Baltic countries that have been among Ukraine's staunchest supporters in the war and are promising more help. He told Estonia's parliament that tyranny must be defeated. Tyranny must be a loser. Always. 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 Today's news was reported by the Associated Press. This has been the World News for Friday, January 12th, 2024. Thanks again for joining us at The Dunkley Report.